Welcome to Limited Lives, a podcast where we review short games and give big opinions. Today we are discussing South of Midnight. My name's Phil, and I'm funkier than a mosquito's tweeter.
I'm Dennis, and I can't wait for the South of Midnight Legacy of Kain crossover, Soul Weaver.
And I'm Matt, and I cannot top that intro by Phil, so I'll leave it there.
I see. Okay, guys, so before we jump into this game discussion, I kind of want to ask you a question. What is your favorite American folklore story? I'm going to start with Dennis here.
So, I can only think of like a few. Like what? There's like Johnny Appleseed and
That's one of the most famous ones, I'd say.
Paul Bunyan with Babe the Blue Ox. I'm gonna
one.
And what John Henry,
one of them or something.
John Henry, the steel driving man.
I don't know who that is. Honey Dipper.
He was a guy who like hammered railroad spikes into the ground. I don't remember the gist of it really, but
good old John Henry.
I'm gonna go with Paul Bunyan, just for lack of American folklore knowledge.
It's not my turn yet. It's not my turn.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the one I remember the most. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, Paul Bunyan. How about you, Matt?
Similarly, I didn't really know that many American folklore stories, but I guess there are quite a lot because I actually looked it up. I looked up a list to try to help myself, remind myself of what there was. So I did ultimately choose which I didn't actually realize. I didn't really know it beforehand, so maybe this is cheating. But the New Jersey Devil. I chose it because I like hockey. I like ice hockey, and the New Jersey Devils is a ice hockey team. But I didn't even realize it was based on a folklore story about some baby who turned into a demon and now haunts the forests of New Jersey.
Channel 5.
I didn't know that either. I knew it was something, but I didn't know it was that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's sort of like a Bigfoot type of thing. It's one of those ones where you can maybe see it or hear it. But yeah, so I chose the New Jersey Devil. But the other one I was thinking about was Bloody Mary, which I guess is kind of an American folklore, kind of like a horror side again. Did you know that
legend?
As a kid? Look into the mirror and say Bloody Mary 3 times.
I thought it was something else with the mirror, some other. Maybe there's a bunch mirror ones.
Well, that's the thing.
There's
about
Beetlejuice.
That's the thing about folklore stories is that there's no true story to them. There's a bunch of different versions for basically.
But Bloody Mary has appeared in a couple of movies, right?
Yeah,
I always feel like Candyman was somewhat based off of the Bloody Mary.
Right,
remember the Candyman?
Of course.
I don't know if Candyman is a real folklore story, but if I had to choose, that would be my favorite one because
maybe it would be maybe 1,000 years go by and people will talk about it. Remember the Candyman, it's legend. It becomes folklore, just through time.
It sounds like a folklore.
Yeah, it does. I similarly looked up some American folk, and there's hundreds or something. I didn't know there's so many. I was like, damn, I didn't know there's this many things on the list. And but similar to Dennis, I also chose Paul Bunyan because I think that's what stuck out the most to me. And I remember that cartoon with Paul Bunyan, and he's like a giant with his ox, and I felt like I've saw that so many times as a kid. I couldn't really think of that many other things, and I was like, oh, is the Headless Horseman, is that not American? Headless Horseman,
yeah, that's American. That came from Pennsylvania. I think Ichabod Crane and Sleepy Hollow.
I remember the movie.
Paul Bunyan.
But I don't know.
Giant blue ox.
Is that considered folklore?
What?
I mean, the Headless Horseman is not real.
Or is that a ghost?
Kind of,
that's just a book, isn't it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, what makes folklore?
Yeah, I guess that's the definition is the question, because it seems to encompass horror and tales and semi-fictional people. And
it's usually, my understanding is that it's kind of based on reality, but not entirely type of thing. It's based on a real story, but but
Like
it
a
has to be
legend?
old, like before cameras and shit existed, that kind of thing.
So you can't have any more folklore anymore. Like 1,000 years later,
Like
like
a
this
like a,
time,
like
no
like
more folklore.
mythology, I guess.
Sort of like
Yeah.
mythology, sort of, yeah.
But also, it's not like somebody wrote a book and that story is folklore. It's like stories
No.
that are passed
Or like
down.
passed down.
Yes,
Yeah, I think
passed
it's got to be
down and
passed
kind of
down
based on.
stories.
I think a lot of them are used to like teach kids lessons or scare them or something like that.
So that's. I feel like the internet has completely killed folklore. Then, like, it's over.
Well, I think it's just modern age. It's no longer possible to. I guess maybe you can consider some of Stephen King's stuff folklore. Maybe like it. I feel like that's kind of modern folklore. But
Yeah, I guess so.
that's
Yeah.
the closest thing I can think of.
So we
Yeah.
discussing. Oh,
Well, I was gonna say, what about like creepypasta?
Right. Yeah. So that's internet age folklore as well.
Yeah, because
like,
that stuff
Slenderman.
gets passed around, and I think they've even made a few movies based off of like creepypasta. Like
And there was
some-
an actual like kids actually murdered one of their friends.
yeah,
Because
the
of Slenderman.
Slenderman. Yeah.
Slenderman. That's a folklore kind of thing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So it still exists. That's true.
Okay, so
There
we
you go.
still have some folklore. That's good to know. Kids are out there keeping the stories alive, even though they've committed murder. That's unfortunate, though. Don't- That's not the lesson you're
Gonna-
supposed to learn from the Slenderman.
There's gonna be some stray bullets, from folklore. It's gonna
Collateral
Everybody
damage.
should catch up on John Henry because I feel like it's a rare. I guess it was probably a rare folklore based on like a black person that I was taught in school. You know,
What is it?
John Henry.
John
guy-
Henry.
Yeah. He's the
He
person
was,
who was working on the railroad, you were saying?
Supposedly he was so good at driving railroad spikes and so strong that they pitted him against like a steam powered drill and he beat it in a competition. And I think that's the story, that he was stronger than a machine.
Well, good
Very
old.
Wasn't
I hope he was getting paid. I hope he wasn't a slave or something.
wasn't the DC Comics guy Steel, isn't he called John Henry also?
That's an interesting observation. If that's true, I wonder. I would like to take it aside and look that up real quick.
Steel, is that the name of that? And he uses a hammer, right? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Is his name
I-
really
I
John
I think
don't
he was.
know what-
Wasn't he
It
played
is
by
John
Shaq?
Henry. His name is John Henry.
So
Oh.
that's directly taken from the folklore.
Wait, who are we talking about? Who are you talking about?
The
Shaquille O'Neal.
DC character named Steel.
Oh,
Who was played
a
by
comic.
Shaquille O'Neal in the
His name
movie?
John Henry, and he has a giant hammer.
Yeah. So there you go.
It's kind of weird. It's kind of
Yeah, it
weird.
makes sense, I guess. They just
Yeah.
lifted from the folklore and made him a real person.
There you go.
Good old American folklore for you. Well,
Yeah.
the reason we're talking about folklore today is because we have.
And
we're
they
discussing
say
the
America
game.
doesn't have
Oh.
culture. America's got culture.
It's got plenty of
Sorry.
culture. Americans, the dominant culture in the world these days.
I think what you mean is we have the most exported culture
We do.
in the world.
Dominant.
I mean, something. Yeah, I know. Okay, going kind of off the rails a little bit, but going to karaoke here, like, if we ever sing any pop culture or any like famous song from America, every Japanese person knows like every single word to that song just as well as we do. But they also have like all their own pop songs that they knew growing up that we'd have never fucking heard of. That was kind of like a wow. Okay, American culture really is heavily exported.
Yeah.
I think it's commonly said that the number one export of America is culture.
Yeah, yeah. But it was just weird to be in that, like see it in real life. Like these kids, like the people here, grew up with the same songs we did, but then also their local songs that we've never heard.
Grew up with the same songs we did up to a point, it seems.
Yeah,
like.
yeah. I mean, obviously, just the big stuff that would make it across the ocean, but
Yeah, that's
there's
interesting to say up to a
lot of
point.
shit they wouldn't know.
There's basically
Yeah,
a
there's lots of
cutoff,
shit.
like maybe
But
after
you know, like
Justin
Britney
Bieber.
Spears, and Backstreet Boys and all that shit. They know all of that.
What's his name? Is probably the last star. Wait, he's not American. What's his name? Who's that redhead dude who sings all those like love songs?
Oh, Ed
Short guy.
Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran.
Ed
Yes.
Sheeran?
He's not American though. Damn. Okay.
No, he's-
But I was like, he's probably the last like I feel like person. Maybe everyone knows the words of the songs. Like, actually, I just know the chorus. I'm in love with your body. Is that how it goes? Anyway, we are off on a tangent here. We are way off on a tangent. We're coming back.
That's a little far. Let's go
I'm
real
in
deep,
love with
yeah.
your body.
Reel it in. Reel it in. Yeah.
Is that we have been playing South of Midnight, not South by Midnight, which some people might be calling it. It's called South of Midnight. It's an action adventure game released in April 8th, 2025. It came out this year, April 2025. And it's published by Xbox. It is an action game that kind of uses a fictionalized South, kind of like, Louisiana, maybe not Texas, a bit more Louisiana, Mississippi, kind of like New Orleans type of vibe of a game. And we just went through that, and so we're going to discuss that today.
Do you know who developed it?
It is developed by Compulsion Games, and I don't know what else they've
Xbox
developed.
Game Studios was the publisher.
They did
Yeah.
We Happy Few, which was kind of.
Few.
I never played it, but it got attention. I remember that.
It got attention, but I think it wasn't that great. It was
Right.
pretty
I think there was
mixed
hype
reviews.
around it, and it was disappointing. Type
Yeah.
of thing. Like people were excited for it, but it kind of sucked.
So it's the same studio as that. And it's interesting because I didn't play that, but it looks completely different, and like in the direction and stuff like that, it seems a lot different than We Happy Few.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that this game even got made, and we could talk about that. Like, just in my opinion, and after playing through it, I'm like, this is like strange that this game even got made, though, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we go more into it, in one sentence, how would you describe your experience with this game, Matt?
So it took me around 10 hours, I would say, to beat this game. And briefly, it was a good game, but not a great game. I think it copied. The gameplay was definitely just heavily borrowed from other games. It didn't really do anything new and original except the story and the setting, which was kind of intriguing. I enjoyed that side of it, but the rest of the game was kind of just going through the motions with playing it. But I did enjoy the being in the South and getting that type, and the folklore, a lot of folklore and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. How about you, Dennis?
Took me a little longer, about 12 hours to finish. So similarly to Matt, I think like this game went really all in on atmosphere and the folklore and the storytelling, which is great, and that's what pulled me through. But the gameplay was kind of boring and just felt like an afterthought. It just was almost like an early PS3 game or something. Like it just, like you said, it didn't shine enough to make me that interested in it. I just wanted to see the narrative.
Right, that makes sense. Okay. For me, it took me 8.8, a little under 9 hours. 9 hours to do.
Wow.
It's strangely that I had the fastest time, considering that I'm certain I left it on at least like an hour. So I don't know how that happened, really, just that I was so quick. But similarly, I agree. I mean, this game basically, for me, like I felt like it was a combination of like Alice in Wonderland and like God of War in a weird way. Like that sounds like a weird combination of games.
Even a little bit of Wizard of Oz, I would say.
Yeah, a little bit of that, and exactly, and the gameplay does feel like an afterthought. It's like they had the concept down really well, but then I think they had to find a way to like, well, what's the gameplay going to be? Like maybe this could have been like a Netflix series or something. Actually, you know what I mean? I feel like it's a cool idea for like a show or something, or like a book.
The story and the gameplay felt very disconnected.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like two different things meshed in, and it's not like the gameplay was like. Well, we'll talk about the gameplay. We can just jump into the gameplay right now. Matt, if you want to tell us about the gameplay.
Yeah, and I think you kind of nailed it when you said it's like God of War, and it really, like, if you played the new God of War game on the PS4, I think it's just called God of War, right? It's like a super light version of that. It's almost exactly the same. It's like there's some traversal. I would say not so much on the puzzles. There's not nearly as many puzzles as there is in God of War, but traversal where you're like climbing up and jumping across things and paint, white paint, look for the white paint and go up that direction. Although there are puzzles, I guess, with the mechanic of you have this mechanic where you can turn things solid and make things appear kind of, and then push and pull and move them around and things like that. So you have those traversal segments, and then you have a fight segment where you do the fight, like third person fighting that's very, very similar to God of War, but just very, very simple. Like you don't have nearly as many move sets or, combinations that you can choose from. You don't have nearly as many powers you can use, or there's no like armor that you can upgrade or anything like that. You do have a basic skill tree, but it's very, very simple. I would say even simpler than like the one we had in RoboCop. It's a very simple skill tree. You don't really have many options with it. And it kind of just goes back and forth. And then there's some story beats in between all of this. And that's basically it. Like, I mean, the motivation, what you're doing in the game is you're trying to find your mom, essentially, who gets swept away by this flood. You're this young girl, high school girl, who lives in the South somewhere that they don't name the specific place, and then
it's called Prospero, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, Prospero. Yeah, it's like a fake place in the South, and then your mom is in like this house that's above the water, and it gets swept away when this hurricane comes, and then you spend the rest of the game trying to find her, and along the way you like meet crazy characters, and like it kind of turns into this weird folklore story where all these like mythical creatures kind of appear, and like you turn out to be some kind of mythical person. But anyway, it gives you special powers basically, so you have special powers to like help you run and jump and manipulate things, and that comes through in combat as well. But it's very I don't know, like middle of the road. It's so basic. It's not that intriguing. The gameplay, I think the gameplay was by far the weakest part of this game.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Agreed. I mean, it was like passable. It wasn't like abysmal or something like that. It was
no,
like, okay.
it wasn't like bad.
Well, one thing I want to point out is that the reason I think I was at 12 hours was I started off the game on the hard difficulty.
I did too.
I thought I would, enjoy the combat more if I did that, but I didn't. I didn't feel like the combat engine was built for any kind of difficulty, because I don't feel like it gave you the tools to deal with the enemies in any way that when they were being difficult or aggressively attacking you. There's no like parry.
Yeah,
especially in the beginning when you have very limited tools.
Yeah, right. You have very little powers and little ways to deal with them. So I just was running around, dodging and running away from everybody constantly, just trying to get a breath. When you combo somebody, it's hard to even do a combo because they can break your combo before you finish it. So the combat was just not fun. I kept up with it for a little while, but I was dying so often and it was just getting frustrating, and I ended up switching over to the middle difficulty later on.
Yeah, I'm amazed that you stuck with it for so long, because it was like I did the same thing where I wanted to have a little bit of a challenge, but as soon as I got to like one of the first fights, it wasn't the very first fight, but one of like the first real fights, it just like I was dying like instantly, very, very quickly. So I was just like, fuck this, and I immediately turned it down to medium, and that made it a lot more like manageable and doable. It didn't feel like it was balanced well at all on the hard difficulty, as you said.
Yeah,
the enemy AI is just weird, like not very good, I think.
I mean, I did the same exact thing, and once you get past like the first couple like tutorial like abilities, when you get your first couple abilities and you're like in your first like fight, it got turned up a bit, and I was like, man, like I'm getting killed, like this like fight 4 or something like that, and I'm getting killed, and the same exact thing. I turned it down to easy actually, because I was like, whatever, like
easy. Wow.
I mean, and then at the same time, because it's like this game is really story driven, I think, more than anything. So it's kind of like this really, especially towards the end of the game, it really starts to kind of be like, oh, like combat encounters get like really tiresome towards that like last quarter or so.
I like to give it some credit.
Yeah.
but most other games of this type do this better. It does like give out some powers that add some new things that you can do in the combat, but they're not that great. I feel like some of them you should have started out with right from the beginning. They should have given you more.
Yeah, they probably
like,
should
Yeah.
have.
just a couple.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of the
There's
big
not
issues
many
is-
overall either.
And when you start off, you basically just have one option. Like you just attack and do a shit dodge. That's not very effective.
It's our mascot.
Sorry, Bucky
Yeah.
wants to come in.
He has something to say.
All right.
You get like the one first ability, and it has like a long cooldown too. So it's you got that one ability. It's like 30 seconds before you can use it again. So you just run
Oh
around
yeah.
trying to avoid. And like the first enemy you fight is kind of like stuck to you like glue. Like you're running around, and it's just like right behind you all the time. So
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're not the enemies themselves aren't very inspired either. They all just look like blobs of goo. Like
generic dark void.
They all had the exact same like
creatures.
color
Yeah.
scheme to them.
Yeah.
So they made them all look very, very samey. It was sometimes even hard to tell which enemy was which.
There's a lock on which I ended up never using.
Oh yeah,
because
I
it
forgot
was-
about that. Yeah.
It was
There is
not
a
useful.
lock-on.
I felt
Yeah.
most of the time because enemies are coming at you from all angles, so you need to be jumping between different enemies that you're fighting all
Yeah,
the time.
those showed like an indication of when you're going to get attacked from like a different direction, but it's hard to tell like when exactly it's going to land if you're not looking at
Right.
them.
Yeah.
So,
It was weird. It would flash like red in a certain direction for a while. Like I didn't. It was just like I thought. Okay, I thought I was gonna get hit by something, but nothing actually ended up coming, or it took a long time to get over there, or something like that. So it was a bit
You-
strange.
I feel like usually a game that has this much combat, especially in 2025 by this point, they give you some way of dealing with crowds, and like being surrounded by enemies, but I don't feel like this.
I think it
did
takes a
that
while
much.
before you get some options
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
always-
guess there's a few, but like you could stun enemies, or you can
Yeah.
cause an explosion that will move them away or push them away, or
takes a while to get there though.
but it's not like fluid. In
Yeah,
the way it
I mean,
is
there
in
were
some
some
games.
moments that I had that are where I was like, oh, this feels cool. Like I was kind of in the flow state one or two times, but it quickly got broken and shattered. It didn't last. That's
and
Yeah,
and
it-
it's always it's also it sets up the combat. It's just like little boring arenas. Like
yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the other thing. The encounter is always the same, essentially, like in a
Yeah.
little arena circle zone.
Yeah, so I guess should mention that like there's no enemies as you traverse. Like you're not going through a place and then you'll run into a single enemy somewhere along the way. It's like no, you can see it from afar. Like this is an area that you're going to go into that's going to spawn a bunch of enemies, and that's it for the whole game. And every single one of those areas is almost like the exact same space.
unless it's
like a big circle.
unless it's a mushroom, an exploding mushroom.
Oh, right,
Those
exploding
mushrooms.
mushrooms. Yeah.
It's interesting that you brought that up because I mean, not the mushrooms, but the way the arenas are. Because it might have been cool if it was like Dark Souls. I hate to say that. I hate that I just brought that up. But like something where like the monsters are like out in the world, kind of like when you're exploring a house.
That's what I was. Yeah, I thought that might have
Or
been
like
a little
most
bit
games,
better,
really.
But
Yeah.
it's
That
hard.
that might have been cool. But then again, I was playing the game and like at some point I was like, you know what? I could have actually done away with the combat completely, and maybe they could have like upped the puzzle or like item collecting element of the game more. Like I think they could have went one way or the other more. Like, and I think they should have went non-combat more. Like collect
Right,
items,
commit
talk to
to-
people. Like maybe you got to
commit
solve
those
more.
resources.
Yeah, more like intricate puzzles with your abilities and like. Use different items to like solve something. Like that might have actually worked out better than the combat. Just feels like not necessary at all. Kind of, really, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
I mean, I get you have to beat these monsters, kind of, but
I mean,
And-
yeah, it's there to make it a video game, essentially. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of that's how I felt about all of the gameplay. Like it's like this is here to make this a video game. We have an idea for a story that we want to tell. Now we have to turn it into a video game. How do we do that? add in like Uncharted or God of War exploration,
Or almost
That's
like
not-
Prince of Persia. you know.
right, Prince of Persia, all that shit.
But like not really good Prince of Persia.
No, not nearly as good as Prince of Persia or any
was-
of those other games, really.
It was very forgiving, though. I appreciate that. Like, the platforming could have been frustrating if they, like, set you back further when you die, or...
I enjoyed the platforming more than the combat, but it was pretty rudimentary. Like,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I like the
Never that
environments. That was one of the things I liked about the platforming and, going from one place to another was all the environments are pretty cool. But when
Which-
you're in the battle arenas, they literally all look the same. So that was
Yeah.
lame. And all the enemies look the same. So, as we said.
So if you're
But I
listening
will
to
say
us-
I did kind of appreciate the boss fights because all the boss fights were different. And they were all like kind of cool, big enemies with like interesting designs to them.
I was going to
So-
say the boss fights to me were probably the only combat situations where I had fun. They're
Yeah.
completely different from, it reminded me of like
I would agree.
Cuphead, where
Mm.
they designed Cuphead as a boss battle only game, and then they went back and added in some like side scrolling shoot 'em up levels,
Right.
like because they thought they needed more game. I wonder if that happened here, where they just created put all the effort into the bosses and then went back and were like, we need to add in some other combat or something.
I think Phil's idea of like having most of the game be around puzzles and things like and item collecting or whatnot, exploration would have been great with the boss battles every
Yeah.
once in a while. The same boss battles that we had, that probably would have been a stronger game. But to be honest, I think designing puzzles is probably a lot harder than designing this combat because this combat was so basic. Like it was just so basic.
Yeah. God of War light, indeed. Okay, well, the gameplay is a little lacking, but I think there's
To, like,
more.
To like an extreme degree. Like
Yeah.
God of War is actually has pretty deep combat.
There's another
challenging.
mechanic that we haven't talked about, which is crouton.
Oh yeah.
I actually liked Crouton.
Which is-
I wanted to hate him, but I kind of liked him.
Crouton, but I also felt like that was another like tacked on mechanic that
It
didn't
did.
add anything
Yeah.
really.
Right.
Like
It felt tacked on like,
boring.
oh, here's a crouton section. Like you have to use crouton in this part and that's it. It's like and that's-
Crouton is your like weird stuffed ragdoll thing come to life, and
It's like it came
he
out of
lets-
the garbage or something.
He can explore like holes in the wall or ground
Right.
or go under things that are
I did
too
enjoy
small
those
for you.
environments too. Those were fun to walk through because you can see like
The-
foxes like having
the-
dinner with each
Yeah.
other and things like
It
that.
was hilarious,
yeah, that
But
was really fun.
but the gameplay inside is basically just walk through a path and avoid getting hit by like spiky barbs that
Yeah.
shoot out, and
It's
that's
tough,
it.
It's tough being Crouton out there.
Yeah,
It's tough.
yeah. And like
Um,
solving very basic puzzles, like it's still the same thing. You just walk through the one pathway available to you to turn on a switch, that type of thing.
Yeah, basically to open a door. or
Really,
something
really
like that.
basic. You can also use him in the battles when you unlock him. Like you can use him
Yes.
to possess enemies.
He's like the best
But it's-
ability you got, basically. I think he was killing it.
He's an important one.
To
He's
control
useful,
people,
yeah.
yeah. Crouton, that's my boy. Or they my boy.
I think he's
Or
cool.
They,
He's a cool character.
Oh, God.
Ooh, okay, forget that. Well, let's move on and talk about the vibes of the game. Dennis, lead us discussing about the vibe.
So, vibes probably the strongest point of this game, I would say. Like, this game has a very distinct like flavor that I don't think I've seen in another game. It uses that special kind of like stop motion. What do they call it? Like animating on the twos. Like
Right, it's
they
like a
did
like a decreased FPS.
Yeah.
Spider-Verse did it, the
Right.
Spider-Verse movies. But it gives it a very unique look. You don't really notice it with Hazel, the main character, as much, but really the environments and in the cutscenes and the just surrounding characters have that weird stop motion-y look to them, which really is cool. But also the character designs themselves look great. The environments are great. You start off in places like a flooded like bayou.
Literally
kind of-
everywhere you go is flooded, I would say. Well,
That's
not-
true, yeah.
Except for like the fantasy places, but yeah.
I guess the reason for that is
It's so flooded.
to lock you
that
into
place.
on rails levels because it's very linear.
Yeah.
But on top of that, you've got an excellent soundtrack that, for the most part, there were one or two songs in there that I
A
felt
little
were
too
kind of
much
like,
children like singing for me, but yeah.
I was okay with that.
You know,
Yeah,
there's
okay,
several
there was
songs
some.
just like
I'd say some of the those songs were.
There was some good like bluesy, folky
Yeah.
songs, but every now and then there was one that kind of felt like they got some kind of like bargain bin guy to sing
Yeah,
this
yeah.
song. Like the song
write it,
itself was
too.
okay, but
Do you know that there's a bit in Family Guy where they make fun of Randy Newman for singing about the things that you're doing, and that's kind of how a lot of these songs felt. Like a lot of times, they're just singing about the things that are happening in the story, like very, very directly.
so like the way the game is broken up is there's each section or chapter kind of deals with one new folklore entity or person, and there's always a song at the end of that chapter when you're fighting the boss or doing part of the boss battle. And that song, I think the very first one, it was like Benji, the tree, the guy who's in the tree.
yeah.
We'll get to that later in the story, but there's a song like you're saying, Matt, where the guy is literally just singing what happened
Yeah,
to Benji in a very like
Benji got put in a tree when he was a kid.
Maybe that's how the song. They're like, hey, make this song. They're like, what's it about Benji? You got put in a tree.
he loved his brother and then he betrayed him.
But it was kind of.
I was laughing.
I thought the song
I
was kind of
laughing.
catchy though. I was like, oh, this is cool.
It's just so silly. It just felt so ridiculous.
There was maybe a couple of those, but most of it all felt, homogenous, like it all belonged and
Yeah.
fit with the
Yeah,
world
there was a lot of
vibe.
good songs.
Very
I think
flavorful.
the characters
I'll say
were
that. They're very
characters were well voice acted. I thought Hazel Flood was a really cool cool character, well acted. And
Agreed.
sound effects were spot on. Visuals were great. No real complaints about that.
Yeah, it shines in the vibes, like
Yeah.
for sure. And like, one of the main characters that you interact with is this giant catfish, and he looks really cool. Like he doesn't look
Yeah.
like a normal catfish. He looks like he's like sewn together or something. It's
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
unique. Patchwork type of catfish. It was really cool.
And he's got
until,
like a Cajun accent, right?
yeah, he's got like a Cajun,
Yeah.
and they use it a lot. He's a Southern drawl, and like he has he uses a lot of the slang and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really cool, really well written. Apparently, the director I looked into of this game is like born and raised in the South, and so it was kind of his love letter to, like you said, we were just talking about before we started recording how people from the South like absolutely fucking love the South.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like that with him on this, because this is like love letter to where he grew up.
I mean, the art direction was like pretty awesome. I think actually, like, it's pretty really good. And like I like how the game starts. It almost starts like really realistic. Like I thought this was gonna be more grounded almost, and then it quickly just gets really fantastical. You know what I mean? Like when you're going with a tree and you're going up this gigantic tree, it seems like for up into the sky almost. And it's like from that point on, you're like, okay, this is like not real, I guess. This isn't based on a real town or something.
It doesn't.
I
It
kind
does
of
a
liked how it was walking that line,
Right,
there,
I was just about to
because
say, it
that's
does
what
a
folklore
really- yeah.
does, right?
It does a really great job of mixing reality with folklore, fantastical stuff. Because you can never really. It doesn't really address it either. It doesn't say like this is real
Yeah.
and this isn't. It's just like a mix. Like you have both separated but happening together. It was really cool.
Reminded me a bit of Big Fish, that Tim
Yes.
Burton
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. I thought the same. Exactly what I thought too. It's a great movie.
Yes. But yeah, no complaints there. But I think they had all of that down, and a lot of care was put into that,
Yes. Completely.
into the feel of the game.
Completely agreed. With the exception of the enemy design, other than the bosses, the main enemy design was really shit.
Boss enemies were awesome, I thought.
Yeah, they were really cool. I loved them. Thought they were great. So
I wonder how this
anything
game. We can
else?
talk about that later. Like how this game like went, like sold and stuff like that. I'm curious, kind of how. I think the overall reception was pretty decent though.
well, it was on Game Pass, so I don't know. Like sales numbers are hard for Game Pass games, right?
Yeah.
I think critically it reviewed generally favorably, I think.
Yeah.
I want to say it was around like 8s,
That makes sense.
7s, and
It's
8s.
higher than I would rate it, but yes, I would rate this 7 probably.
Anything
probably
else to
between
really
7 and 8, yeah.
say about the vibe? I mean, I guess we're all pretty much aligned on that. It was pretty kicking.
Yeah.
Yeah, very southern, like, yeah, very cool. I just thought it was funny that everywhere was flooded, like everywhere.
Yeah, I was like, do people live? This is one day. In this,
Yeah,
this
right.
game takes place in one day. Is this like every
Oh.
season this happens or something? Like,
I didn't realize it was just one day. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, that is funny.
It's a big day.
It's true.
it's like, man, this is, I don't know, winter.
Well, no, because she sleeps over at her
Well,
grandma's
yeah,
house.
I guess there is the time. I thought about that. Like they do describe this game as taking place in one day if you look at it. But she does
Two
spend the
days, though.
night. She does spend the night
Yeah.
at the
No,
grandma's
it's definitely
house
more than
early
one
on.
day. I guess
Um,
24 hours maybe it could be.
Yeah.
but
And a lot of stuff
Maybe.
happens, I guess, in that time for her.
Yeah.
I think. So let's move on to the story, which I'll talk about. And so, yeah, this game takes place in kind of a fictional South, and you follow Hazel Flood, who
What
seems,
a name.
yeah, it's a pretty
I-
cool name actually.
It's-
I kind of like.
It seems like it was like
Pretty
they
on
were
the
going for
nose.
like Dorothy Gale, Wizard of Oz
Right.
Oh
Yeah,
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 okay.
that's true.
analog.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a little bit less creative, to be honest, but
Well, I mean, Dorothy Gale gets carried away by a tornado.
no, exactly. But
Hazel
she wasn't
Flood is
named Gale,
carried
she wasn't named Dorothy Tornado.
Right, but it's
It could have been. Yeah, it was a bit on the nose.
Like a
but
gale
I guess.
of wind, but
yeah.
I guess she is like the flood. She's coming. Hazel's coming. You know, you can't stop Hazel Flood. She's like a force of nature. You know, coming through in this game. But yeah, we're back in the story here. Hazel Flood, and she seems to be like you living in this like fictional South area, kind of like a trailer, not a trailer park, but just kind of like a little bit of a rundown like little neighborhood. And she seems to be in the midst of like, I'm not sure they dive into this much more, but she seems to be in like the midst of a fight with her mom. Or not like really bad, not a bad relationship, I think, but maybe a bit of tension about some things
Strained.
that have happened. Yeah, strained. Maybe growing pains and like this thing's happening, going to college and stuff like that. And there seems to be a flood that's coming. The storm is coming. The flood is coming. And they're preparing to kind of go to evacuate or just like pack their stuff and go somewhere. I don't know if they're going to go to a shelter or something, but they're just going to leave. And you go around, you check with the neighborhood a bit, and you meet some of the people in town. By the time you get back to your house, though, that thing has been washed away in the most massive flood ever, probably. It's like a tsunami basically comes in.
You actually see it get washed away, I think, right when you
yeah,
get
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's not like you come
gone.
back and it's gone. You're walking up towards it and it gets
And it
washed
just
away
like
as
gets
you see it.
lifted up and just like thrown, just flooded away. Like just specifically that house, it seemed like actually. So your mom is inside the house and she gets carried away down the river, I guess. And what it seems like a simple, let me go catch my mom down the riverside, starts you off on this kind of like fantastical adventure into like Wonderland kind of thing. And you quickly start to interact with these kind of like spirit threads or something like that, I guess. There's like these things are like out there and these like threads of tension or
Strands, I think they called them.
strands. Yeah, strands. The strands, and these strands kind of like take you to where people's pain is kind of left in the
Right.
town or something. Like their pain is living or something.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you go
That's
you
kinda-
encounter all these stories. It's just like a story of suffering, essentially. It's like really depressing stories. A bunch
Yeah.
of really depressing stories that you have to figure out.
So
One
you got
thing
like
I
a full.
didn't-
Yeah.
I was just gonna say one thing I failed to bring up before was that while the vibes are very kind of like happy-go-lucky
Yeah, the
most of the
stories.
time, there's this weird like undercurrent of despair. Like,
Yeah, the stories are really
some really
of them
dark
are
stuff
very dark,
happening.
Yeah, yeah.
it's
Very
like it
dark.
feels like a fairy tale, but like there's some dark stuff going on.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
the South. The South is
Sort
like
of
a
like- sort of like-
hospital.
sort
I
of
was
like
gonna-
Wizard of Oz. Like
Yeah.
I guess
It's the
so.
exact
Yeah,
same thing.
It
Like the-
seems
like the
everyone's
original book.
singing and stuff, and it's like traumatic stuff is happening. Really, in
Right.
reality. And but I was like, maybe this is kind of like the South too. It's like this Southern hospitality, iced tea, all that stuff. You know what I mean? And then But really, you got all these like things that happened. They're probably pretty bad. Slavery. You got like just like
They
poverty.
do touch on slavery. They touch on like abuse.
The Underground
I
Railroad.
guess. They touch on that.
Yeah, maybe it was. Fortunately, it's not like very heavy-handed, which was good too. I think they like touch on it, but it's never really like too. You know what I mean?
Preachy.
Yeah, it's not
It's not
preachy.
preachy. No. Yeah. That's. I'm glad they. Just direct.
It's kind of letting you know like these things happened or something. I guess.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And the story. So every chapter you follow a specific kind of like. And then usually I think it's like someone within the town. Like maybe it's like, you got old Grandma, Jones down. Why is she cranky all the time? Grandma Jones always cranky. What's up with Grandma Jones? And then it like dives into kind of what happened to her, or for example, that's not a real character, but what happened to her and like why something traumatic happened. And you basically see these memories. Kind of you go and unlock these like memories. Usually it's like 4 or 5 or 6 of them. They get the whole story to what happened, to unlock the trauma that made this person or beast or creature, or sometimes it's a person, sometimes it's like a monster or something like that.
Yeah, it's like it's often a person who's been transformed into a monster. Sort of very folklore-ish type of thing.
A lot of times it didn't seem like it was their fault, really. The world is a terrible place out there, just traumatizing.
And it was mixed too. Like, sometimes they were like a tragic figure, and you'd feel really bad for them. But sometimes they had some really dark shit that they did.
Yeah.
In
Some
their
people were
past.
like evil, while some people just had bad shit happen to them. But then that kind of like turned them evil, and because they were in so much despair. Lots of stories about kids, like
kids
with
getting
really
abused.
really bad childhoods.
Yeah, a lot of child abuse in this.
Yeah.
I guess there is an
Palestine,
ongoing theme of hurt people, which she says, I think, at some point.
Yeah.
But it's a very
Hurt people. Yeah, that's one of the big. I guess that's the one preachy thing that they say, like hurt people. But it's it's true.
This could have been, like I said, this could have been like an interesting, like a Netflix like episodic, and what's it called? Analog. What do you say? Not analog.
Anthology.
Anthology. It could have been like an anthology kind of thing, and just like jumping into different folklores around town or something like that, and like one episode.
Yeah.
Like what's that one show that I used to be on back in the day? Like Crip
Keeper
Show
or whatever.
It's called like there was like a goat. There was like a
Tales,
skeleton.
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt. Kind of reminded me some way. How reminded me that maybe a little less dark than Tales from the Crypt, but much less dark than Tales from the Crypt, but still kind of reminded me of that a little in a bit. I was like, that could
I
be
agree.
cool.
That would be a cool. They should do an animated anthology like that. That would be
Tales
really
from the
cool.
Crypt. Yeah, it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But all of those little like separate folklore stories I thought were really well written and interesting. It was cool to discover like the truth about each person, and some of them are based off of like just people who live in your town that are just normal people, but then it goes into their past and gets all into the mythical stuff that's going on, which is that's where it kind of reminded me of like Big Fish, where there's that
You're right.
that weird divide. Like they tell the story that it's all mythical and magical, but it's just a normal person that's there.
Right.
I never actually finished that movie. I've like tried to watch it a couple times, and it was always always felt like it was hard for me to get into for some reason, but like it looked interesting, and I do want to finish it. So
It's a
I love
sad
that
one.
movie.
Big Fish.
It always
Need to
makes
get back on
me weep at the end.
that. Oh, okay. I guess I
Yes,
gotta watch
yeah.
Big Fish.
It's one of those ones that makes you cry. It's very good.
So this is kind of the Big Fish of games. Maybe.
Yes, I would say so. I mean, there's even a big fish in this game.
There is
Yeah.
the catfish.
So let's talk about what our best and worst moments of the game were. What about you, Dennis? What did you have a best or worst moment?
My best moment was probably shit. I didn't think of this ahead of time. Can we do Matt first?
I don't have one, but yeah, you can ask me. I'll just say I don't really have one. I mean, I was like, yeah, I don't really have a moment. I think as the individual. Well, do you want to? Okay, you can just
All
ask
right.
me, I guess.
Okay, Matt. What's your best or worst moment in this game?
Yeah, I don't think I had one just because my favorite parts of this game were the vibes, and those usually don't provide specific moments so much, and the gameplay itself was pretty basic and boring, so I don't really have. But at the same time, there was nothing that was really awful. Like there was nothing bad nothing that I didn't like really necessarily. Just it was kind of a mid experience, but like you said, I think this would have worked better as like a anthology TV show, animation TV show.
Okay. Dennis, how about you?
I'd say I don't want to give away spoilers, but my best moment would probably be there's a point in the story they kind of like juke you, like they lead you in one direction. You're thinking one character is this way, then you think,
Okay. Yeah.
I was mistaken. This person isn't so bad, and then the
Yeah.
story keeps going, and you're like, nope, actually, she's bad,
Right,
or
yeah.
or they are bad.
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much away, but
they
I
are
think
bad.
there's some twists
Crouton.
and that
Couple
surprised me, and I thought that was a
Yeah.
cool moment when that happened.
Yeah.
I'm being very vague, but
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, though. I think so. Yeah, there are a couple twists, which is welcoming for this type of story in the game. So, yeah.
I also really liked when Hazel changed her outfits because they were
That
all
was
really cool. They had
Yeah.
like she has two new outfits that she gets, and I just thought they were very like unique and had.
I
cool
like that they
designs.
did a good job of like really directly setting that she was getting up an outfit change. She didn't just like come out with a new outfit on. Like a character says something in reference.
There's a
like-
reason for the outfit change.
Yeah, there's like a reason.
Yeah, you
that's
don't see that
referenced.
often in games. It's
Yeah.
usually like a collectible or something,
Right,
or you
right.
buy it and you
Right.
change outfits. But this is like I'm covered in pig shit. I need to change my outfit, literally.
Yeah.
And it's connected to the story, like the way that, and people comment on it. Like there's some comments about
Yeah.
you like,
Yeah,
Don't spoil
they're aware that you're wearing different clothes,
right.
and they
I
were
would
cool
s-
clothes.
The best moment for me was I think there was like one song that comes on. It's just kind of like a banjo like playing or something. I was like, oh, this is like maybe I miss a little banjo in my life. Like I could have like some banjo playing in the background when I walk around or something. Like
You are a bard in our D&D campaign. So.
I am, but
Yeah.
I don't really banjo. Maybe I just need to play. Maybe we should just play the banjo in the background when we're like walking around like an adventure time. Just have a little twingy little banjo going on or something like that. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So that was, and there was one song I did like a lot too. I think I tried to take a memo. I don't know where it is, but I was like, one of the actual like singing songs is actually really good. And I was like, oh, this is really good too. So
There was good music in this game.
is this a limited lives game? Do you recommend it? Matt, how do you feel about it?
I'm really torn. If this game was shorter, and the game, gameplay was like, I don't know, better. I don't know what to say, but basically, I think if this game was shorter, I would be more willing to recommend it. But because of how long it takes to get through, it's like a 10-hour game. I really don't think it needs to be. I think if it had been, more focused, it would have been a better game. So I don't know. Recommend it if you're really interested in South folklore. Not really interested, but if you're just somewhat interested, I'd still say you would enjoy it. I'd say if you play it, you'll enjoy it.
But
I'm
who
not sure if
is
it's worth
interested
10
in
hours.
this? I was thinking about it. Who would be interested? It's like something that's like I think I ended up liking it way more than I would have. I would not have like sought this out though by any means. I think.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
But
I think. Well, I mean,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
so many games that retread the same tropes and different types of mythology over and over again. So it's people who are looking for something just that they haven't seen before might look towards this.
yeah.
yeah, just play it on easy. I think that would be the way to do it.
So
Just
you do
Yeah.
recommend it. You do. You got to give a yes or no.
Sure. I'd recommend it. Just play it. I would recommend playing easy or medium at most, and then try to just enjoy the
Okay.
vibes.
How about you, Dennis?
I was also a little torn, at least on it being a limited lives game. Like I said, it took me 12 hours, and it did feel a little bit long for what it was. So I'm going to say it's not a limited lives game, but I do recommend trying it out. If you have, for example, Game Pass, or if it's on sale or something. I wouldn't recommend anyone paying for it and buying it without being sure that they were going to like it, because the gameplay is kind of weak. And
Yeah.
if you really want to see a Southern folklore story, yeah, okay. But, you could just watch a Let's Play and get the gist of that without actually having to engage with the shitty combat.
Okay. I was thinking, because at some point in the game, I was thinking, if this game was a little shorter, would you somehow feel a little shortchanged or something? That's kind of like, it's kind of threads that line. Okay.
No, because I felt like my
though.
time was wasted with all the bits in between the stories.
Yeah, the combat kind of felt like it was stretching it out. I mean, I don't even know how much time was totally spent on the combat, but like I said, I could have done without the combat completely, probably, and it would have been fine. But I actually beat it in under 10 hours, so I guess it is potentially a limited lives game. And do I recommend it? I'm going to say yes, only just for the unique experience, because I don't feel like there's any other game that really I can think of that's close at all, really. And it made me think, I would love to play more.
What?
Like the vibe, kind of like this,
Yeah, right.
very few games actually have singing in it. I thought about that. Like, how many games actually have songs in them, for one? Like, I can think of very few. There's orchestra songs or just instrumentals and stuff like that. I was like, this is
Scores,
rare
yeah.
to have
Japanese
actual,
games tend to have them sometimes. Like,
Did you say Chinese games?
Japanese
games.
the Oriental games tend to have.
Oriental games.
I don't think you can use that word.
So, what was I going to say? But then that made me think about this would be cool. Like, say, Bloodborne. What if Bloodborne was in the South and it was kind of like a Western game that was kind of like a dark Gothic Bloodborne in the South? Like, that would be cool. So, I feel there's untapped potential. Like, I'm not saying you can make a bunch of Southern games, but there may be a bunch of other areas. Like, we're oversaturated with ninja samurai or fantasy Nightman. You know what I'm saying?
New York has done a lot.
Yeah.
San Francisco. I'd say the big cities are done a lot, but yeah, the South is not touched on, even though it's got so much character to it.
Yeah. There's a lot of potentially untapped game potential with vibe or atmosphere that you can do, and this made me think of you could do it. It can be done. That's what I said. It's surprised this game even got made, because if you're pitching this game, it does not seem like.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone saying yes to this on paper, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's. I'm glad it exists. I think it's.
I'm glad I played it. I'll say that.
Yeah, me too. I don't regret my time with it at all.
But I did feel like I'm ready for this to end at some point.
Yeah,
that way.
Yeah, you had a good time, but it's time to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Okay, so so that pretty much wraps up our time with South of Midnight, not by midnight, South of Midnight.
That delivery.
Just want to emphasize that it's called South of Midnight, because I was convinced it was called South by Midnight, literally until a couple hours ago or something today. So
The whole time you were playing it, you thought it was South by Midnight.
So thanks for listening. Our next game is going to be Bionic Bay. And you could follow us on Blue Sky and Instagram at Limited Lives Cast. And we're also on X at Limited Lives Pod. And on YouTube at Limited Lives TV. And if you have any questions or any feedback for us, feel free to email us. You can reach us at any of those, but you can also email us at limitedlivescast@gmail.com. And remember, every gaming moment is a chance for greatness.